Hey friend, welcome to a bonus episode of Archetype. Today we're stepping outside of the 6-day gate cycle to talk about something that underpins all of this work. This concept of living in choice. Because here's the thing, you can understand every gate, every gene key, every archetypal pattern and still find yourself reacting the same way when you're under pressure. Not because the information didn't land, but because information alone does not shift the pattern. What shifts the pattern is choice. Conscious, embodied, present choice. So that is what we are talking about today. This information I have gathered and learned and resourced from my mentor. He's Dr. Gary Cohn in Oklahoma City. Living in choice doesn't mean that you never react. It doesn't mean that you're always calm, always clear, always spiritually perfect. It means you're aware enough to notice when you're reacting and then to have the tools to interrupt that loop before it starts to run you. So there's a framework that I use in my energy work called the Living in Choice chart. And it's basically a map of human consciousness split into two sides. The reactive side that is fueled by old patterns like apathy, guilt, shame, blame, fear. This is the world of not enough. The world of I'm broken, the world of I need to fix everything to feel okay. And the proactive side that aligns with states like peace and joy and love and enlightenment and empowerment. This side does not fix anything. It just remembers. And the key is you cannot live in both sides at once. And this is why I talk about transforming the stories that we tell about ourselves, because you can't take your old story with you. You don't get to tell the story the same way and live in the proactive side of life. You just literally can't. Those two states cannot be held at the same time. You're either reacting from fear or you're responding from love. That is the choice. And really, that's the choice of free will. You can't serve two masters. So everything that you believe, especially the beliefs that you don't even know that you're carrying, shape your experience. The law of attraction doesn't respond to your conscious intentions. It responds to your dominant energetic blueprint. And that includes your subconscious beliefs, your unresolved trauma, and the way that your system reacts when life squeezes you. So you may think that you're trying to create peace, but if your old belief system is soaked in unworthiness or shame, that unfortunately is what gets mirrored back to you. That's why the energy work that I do emphasizes inner responsibility, not blame, not guilt, but choice. You are not being punished by the universe. You're being shown where your energy is still stuck or distorted or misaligned. And once you see it, you can shift it. So most of what we call quote unquote thinking is actually just recycled memory. It's mental replay. It's loops of fear, judgment, and expectation disguised as strategy. And then we really convince ourselves that we're analyzing, right? I'm processing. When really we're just worrying with better vocabulary. The reactive mind doesn't ask you what's true. It says, what's familiar? It pulls from old programming, especially painful stuff. Especially, it like fires like a cannon through your nervous system. Your hippocampus goes, I remember when this happened before, and then executes the pattern. So here's how this looks. Apathy says, nothing I do really matters anyway. Guilt says, I'm unworthy of love or forgiveness unless I do X, Y, and Z. And shame says, I am fundamentally broken at some level. And these aren't just thoughts, they're energetic postures. They create tension and dysregulation and definitely emo fog. And they always pull you back into survival mode. So here is how that cascade works. Thoughts generate feelings. If your thought is nothing I do matters, the feeling that follows that is grief, which is regret and despair and hopelessness. If your thought is I'm unworthy, the feeling that follows is fear. It's anxiety and avoidance and panic. And if your thought is shamey shame, I'm fundamentally broken in some way, that feeling that follows is desire, hostility, this craving, a bitterness, kind of a neediness. Feelings generate emotion. When thought and feeling combine, it creates a voltage inside the human system that is very strong. Grief becomes anger. It's this very sacred fire that says, like, this is not fucking fair. Fear ends up becoming rage because it's the last defense between you and annihilation. Anger is always fear underneath. And then desire, hostility it becomes rebellion. It's this like, fuck this, I'm done. And emotions generate the action. Anger can become depression, frozen grief, stagnation, withdrawal. Rage becomes anxiety, hypervigilance, perfectionism, and a drive to overwork to prove your value. And rebellion becomes resistance, which is self-sabotage, or we procrastinate or have an internal war going at all times. That is the loop. That is the reactive cycle. Thought goes to feeling, goes to emotion, and then it moves into an action. And if you're not aware of it, it just runs on autopilot for years, sometimes for lifetimes. We all know people that are stuck in reaction, right? Or maybe we can see patterns genetically or epigenetically of how things have moved through our family's lines, right? Here is the really beautiful thing. You can interrupt this loop at any level. You can shift the thought and regulate the feeling and transmute the emotion, and you can choose a different action. So the proactive path looks like this: enlightened thoughts that generate bliss, which generates power, which generates movement, which is action. Peaceful thoughts generate more serenity, a feeling, which generates more faith, the emotion, which then generates a feeling of openness, which is the action. What about joy? Joy generates the feeling of contentment, which then emotes as love. Same human nervous system, same body, very different frequencies. And that frequency is a choice. So at the bottom of the reactive side of the chart are kind of what I call core negative beliefs. These are subconscious stories that we internalized as kids through family dynamics, maybe trauma or societal programming. There's two different kinds that I talk about in the energy work sessions that I do. They are core negative beliefs, which we come in with at a soul level. So this is the soul's curriculum that it is working on in this lifetime. And then we have shadow beliefs that we deal with. And those are the ones that we really, when the brain is in the spongy stage before the age of 6 years old, when you're just absorbing everything around you as information, but because your prefrontal cortex isn't developed enough to come to conclusions that can see the whole, you interpret everything around you as something to do with you. There are invisible scripts that tell us that we're not lovable or we're not enough or we're never safe. And most of them are unconscious. And we think we've grown past them or that they're not affecting us, but they're still running the show when we get triggered. And we don't hear them directly. We see their reflection in our repeated patterns, right? So toxic relationships or money chaos or health flare-ups or just self-sabotage. So here are some examples that come up all the time in the energy work that I do. I'm unlovable. I don't matter. I will always be abandoned. I have to be perfect. God is punishing me. No one listens to me, etc. And when these run on autopilot, they attract circumstances that then reinforce them. And that is the trap. So you don't heal reactive thoughts by arguing with them. Again, we're not fighting anything anymore. We're focusing on the new. So you shift them by seeing them clearly, by identifying the belief underneath, and then choosing a new frequency. So we have to slow down. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this phrase of like, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. I'm a manifesting generator. I really like to do things in a rush, Speedy Gonzalez style. And I have to remind myself of this every time of like, take a deep breath, feel my body, my nervous system smooth out. And then when my nervous system is smooth, because I've slowed down a bit, I actually get the thing done much faster. It's, again, one of those conundrums that is sort of fun when you learn how to hack it. So you need to ask yourself, what thought is this tied to? What belief is this fueling? What do I want to feel instead? The most important question you could ever ask yourself. What do I want to feel? And what would I have to think to feel that way? That is the moment that you move out of reaction and into choice and becoming proactive. You don't have to wait for life to get easier to feel differently. It's not going to work that way. So we really kind of got to get over it now. Throw the little tantrum that you need to and then get to work, because you can choose enlightenment over apathy right now. You can choose peace over guilt right now. And you can choose joy over shame. Not because you're bypassing. You can't cut the line anyway. You got to feel it. Not because you're pretending that the pain isn't real. It's very real. But because you're choosing truth over distortion. The body is your feedback mechanism. Your body is always telling you what side of the chart that you're living from. So reactive energy feels tight, it feels familiar, it feels dramatic and draining. Proactive energy feels expansive, alive, magnetic, empowered, super satisfying. Your nervous system knows the difference. Your body knows the difference. The question is, are you listening? This is not about being perfect. Living in choice doesn't mean that you never slip back into reaction. It just means you notice it faster, you interrupt it sooner, and you choose differently more often. It means that you're the one who sees the pattern, names it, and says, not this time. You pause before you react. You ask, where is this response coming from, now or then? Not, you want to speak your peace and walk your joy and own your fire, not someday, but today, now, this breath, this moment, because it's really all you have. And I know that that sounds trite and potentially bypassing, but it's really true. All we can come back to when the world looks nutty and we really want to react to it, all you have is your breath and the present moment. That's it. So put a hand on your heart, put a hand on your belly, and tell yourself how safe you are, because you have you. You've got you right now, this moment. So remember, you don't heal by trying to get better. You heal by remembering who you already are. You are not broken, you are not behind, and you aren't late to anything. You are a sovereign soul who is practicing choice again and again until it becomes your way of being. And that is where magic lives. Full stop. See you next time.